3 days ago, the official death toll in Venezuela stood at 188. Today, it's 920, and climbing by the hour. Somewhere beneath the rubble of La Guaira and Caracas, rescue teams say at least 172 people are still alive, or might still be. But there's a number working against them that has nothing to do with magnitude or aftershocks. It's a number measured in hours. And by the time this video ends, it may have already run out. To understand why every hour matters right now, you need to understand what rescue teams call the golden window. After a major earthquake, the first 48 to 72 hours represent the period when someone trapped under rubble has the highest chance of survival. Enough time without water, without crush injuries worsening, without temperature extremes taking their toll. After that window closes, survival odds drop sharply with every passing hour. Venezuela's twin earthquakes struck the evening of June 24th. That window started closing on the night of June 26th into the 27th, which means, right now, search teams are working in the most desperate phase of any disaster response. The final hours where finding someone alive becomes the exception rather than the expectation. When the death toll was first reported, it stood at 188. Then, 235. Then, within roughly 48 hours, it had climbed past 900 towns, a nearly five-fold increase, as rescue crews reached areas that had been completely cut off. Officials warn it isn't finished rising. More than 3,300 people are confirmed injured. Tens of thousands of names sit on a missing persons tracking site set up in the chaos. Though officials caution that figure includes overlapping reports, and not every name represents someone confirmed missing. This isn't the fault's first warning sign. Less than a year earlier, in September 2025, the same regional fault system produced a smaller doublet, a magnitude 6.2 followed by a 6.3 DARS, that killed one person and injured more than 100 across Venezuela's Zulia and Lara states. Seismologists studied that sequence closely at the time. Few expected the next rupture along this system to arrive this soon, or to hit with anywhere near this much force. What changed between day 1 and day 3 isn't the earthquake. It's what rescue teams have been able to reach. The jump from roughly 235 confirmed dead to 920 wasn't a new disaster. It was the first one catching up to reality. In the immediate aftermath, communication blackouts and damaged roads meant entire communities, especially in the hard-hit coastal state of La Guaira, went uncounted for nearly 2 full days. As military and rescue convoys physically reached those areas, using controlled demolition equipment to break through collapsed concrete, confirmed numbers spiked accordingly. Officials now say victims include not just Venezuelan nationals, but people from Brazil, China, Spain, Portugal, and Italy, reflecting how densely populated and internationally connected the affected neighborhoods were. Spain alone reported several of its citizens dead, with well over 100 more unaccounted for. This is the part of the story that rarely makes the initial headlines. The death toll in a major earthquake is almost never the real number on day 1. It's the number rescue teams can physically confirm, and that number only grows as access improves. On the ground, the obstacles keep stacking up. Officials have recorded well over 100 aftershocks since the initial quakes, some strong enough to bring weakened structures down entirely, while crews are still working inside them. In several of the hardest-hit zones, heavy machinery still hasn't arrived, leaving residents to clear debris with pickaxes in their bare hands while waiting for equipment that may not come in time. Hospitals are overwhelmed. One of the region's main facilities has had to treat patients outdoors because there's no room left inside. And USGS's own statistical modeling, the same system that flagged this disaster as high risk before the full scale was even known, estimated a real possibility, not a certainty, a probability, that the final toll could climb into the thousands, and a smaller but meaningful chance it could go even higher. Nobody wants that number confirmed. Right now, every working hour is an attempt to keep it from happening. So why do those first 48 to 72 hours matter this much biologically? Think of it like a phone running on a fixed reserve of battery with no charger in sight. A trapped injured person isn't just waiting. Their body is spending a finite resource, hydration, blood volume, body temperature regulation, and in cases of prolonged limb compression, a dangerous buildup of toxins that can flood the bloodstream the moment they're freed. That's why rescue teams don't just want to find people. They need to extract them carefully, with medical teams standing by, because the rescue itself can be as dangerous as the wait. Every hour past that window, the body has less reserve left to draw on. Behind every one of these statistics is a specific person, in a specific building, who hasn't been heard from in 3 days. In La Guaira, residents who lost their own homes are still showing up to dig through their neighbors' rubble with their bare hands, refusing to wait for equipment that hasn't come. Families from Caracas to Valencia have been traveling through the night, carrying food and water down the same highway that rescue convoys are using, because official aid hasn't reached everyone who needs it. International teams, from the US, Mexico, Spain, and beyond, are now on the ground. But a country already strained by years of political and economic crisis is being asked to coordinate one of its largest emergency responses in over a century, almost overnight. The earthquake lasted under a minute. What it left behind will take far longer to count, let alone repair. Rescue teams are still working through what's left of the golden window right now, and whether the final number stays in the hundreds or climbs into the thousands may come down to what happens in the next few hours, not the next few days. If you want to understand how disasters like this actually unfold once the cameras move on, subscribe to stay ahead of what's coming.